Last time on Square Roots, we bleed out a Daedra and a god, and root out some spies. Meanwhile, Bruma is embroiled in Gate. What did the Countess know, and when did she know it? Everybody, and welcome to Square Roots, the classic role-playing game podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa, and I'm joined as always by Matthew Van Zant.
Hello, Vanessa.
Hello, Matt. And John Greatgate Brandon.
I feel like doing some gatekeeping.
No.
That's a good one, John.
Yeah, you better be playing this on hard, because that's the only true way to play this game. Actually, no, this game sucks on hard.
And only on PC.
Yep.
And only on a PC whose specifications match 1986 or whenever this game came out.
2005?
Yeah, it came out in 1986.
Yeah. 1980, 2005.
2005. I'd love to see a 3D ASCII game where, like, you're walking through and everything's just ASCII characters, but it's still, you're walking through, like, a corridor and it's, like, fully polygonal. I think that'd be neat.
That sounds amazing. I'm going to suggest that we take this great idea of yours and insert it into something else where, like, that could be like a crazy special effect that happens when the spooky stuff is going on.
Ooh.
Or when the cool stuff is happening, like The Matrix and its silly green scroll. But this will be ASCII.
I want to play a Halloween game for next month. Let's play an Eternal Darkness.
I want to play Phantasmagoria.
Ooh, that would be great.
I don't recognize the name of either of those games.
Really? Eternal Darkness?
Well,
let's play Resident Evil Generations 2, The Return of Zangief.
He wasn't... I mean, he is a Capcom character, but I don't believe there's been any Street Fighter Resident Evil crossover. Except
How far along into that title did you get before you decided that it was fake title?
Was it Regeneration? What was the one for DS? Or 3DS?
I don't know.
This
isn't a Resident Evil podcast, John. Jesus.
It could be, because I would be great at it, except that I can't remember the name of the 3DS one. That was actually pretty good.
Guys,
yep.
We have a serious topic to address before we start the show.
Oh, we do, actually.
We do.
This is going to be a very special episode. And listeners, you're going to learn a lesson.
Gonna learn a lot about life. Gonna learn some lessons about hardship. Changes happen, and sometimes they're sad.
Sometimes they're not sad, but this isn't one of those times. Vanessa, as the newly anointed host, why don't you tell us what's happening?
Sure. If you pay attention to gaming news, you might have noticed that Telltale Games has recently laid off a large number of their staff. What? I'm not talking about gaming news?
Vanessa, we're talking about Jim.
Remember Jim? We love Jim.
Jim died.
Whoa.
Don't say
That's horrible.
Yeah,
Jim has been traveling almost every weekend for work and personal life, and has decided to take a hiatus from Square Roots for an indeterminate length of time while he gets his shit together.
Well, didn't he just raid the Patreon, say, "See you later, assholes," and send us a video of him giving us all the finger?
He did do that, which I assumed was some kind of, like, prank, and I'm just waiting for the money to be redeposited. He keeps posting Facebook pictures from Bora Bora, though, so I don't know.
No, Jim, we are on great terms, and Jim should be back eventually, right? Right,
well,
Vanessa?
I hope so, because he's our Jim.
I know. but we'll soldier
Without-
on.
So
Without
Jim is
Jim.
dead to me, and moving on, we will only have the 3 hosts.
Do we talk about the Chrono Cross stuff now?
You may have heard us mention before that after this game, we were going to play Chrono Cross.
That was a lie, but perpetrated by disgraced former co-host Jim Banks.
It was a horrible lie, and we tricked you. Now, we have decided that because much of the joy that we anticipated in playing Chrono Cross was going to come from Jim's hatred of Chrono Cross compared to his love for Chrono Trigger, and we don't want to deny the listeners the chance to hear Jim suffer.
Yes.
Especially since he has left us all by ourselves. So we are going to put that game on hold until Jim's return. We will be posting a new poll on the Patreon to choose a alternate game for us to play. So really, it's just like giving you even more votes, and we will do Chrono Cross eventually.
Chrono Cross is dead to me, so disgraced former game choice Chrono Cross can fuck off forever.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Jim is just hanging out with Rob Schubert now, where all the disgraced former
He's
co-hosts
not.
go.
We love them both.
We do.
So have we figured out what games we're going to put on this list? I'm pretty excited.
No, but I'm sure by the next episode, as this is the penultimate Oblivion episode, I'm sure by the finale, we'll have not just a list, but a winner for you, because this is going
Yep.
straight to the patrons.
Yakuza. huh?
Well, I'm halfway through Yakuza 0, so if we want to do that, it's fine with me.
That's a new game though. But Yakuza Kiwami is a remake of Yakuza 1.
All right. Let's take this off air so I can argue against the merits of Yakuza
Ooh.
as an RPG.
It totally is an RPG though.
It is an RPG.
Totally an RPG. Anyway, Jim's dead, and moving on.
This is the podcast where we talk about a classic role-playing game and go over it one chunker at a time. Sort of like a book club for your ears and also for video games.
It's like a Let's Play, but only to listen to and not to watch, because you don't want to watch that stuff anyway. The thing that you
spend
like
enough
about Let's
time.
Plays is the people talking.
That's right.
That is.
Not the video game footage.
I often listen to like the giant bomb ones where they do a quick look. I often have that like on at work, but I can't really watch it, so I just listen to them playing the game while I'm doing my job. That's a secret about my job.
I recently discovered that Netflix has a this closed captioned thing that will also describe the scene to you.
Oh, interesting.
As well as
Described video.
Read. Yeah, as well as like read the captions or like read the dialogue or whatever. And it's amazing for listening to or working or watching when you're working on something else.
Mm-hmm. Sort of like an audio play.
Yeah, they've got it for a lot of the, not for everything, but you find it for a lot of stuff, particularly their stuff. Like all the Marvel Netflix stuff has it.
You know why that happened, right?
A bunch of movies.
There's actually a kind of interesting story of how that happened. And why?
Is it about Mr. Rogers?
No, it's about Daredevil. That they released Daredevil without described video, and people are like, "Hey, Matt Murdock couldn't watch that," and people are like, "Oh yeah, well maybe let's." So Netflix was cool and made described video versions of all their Marvel shows.
Mm-hmm. I remember reading a interview with Fred Rogers, and he talked about how he received a letter from a parent who said that her son was visually impaired but loved his show, but he would cry whenever Mr. Rogers fed the fish because he couldn't see it. And from that time on, Mr. Rogers made sure to always describe the action he was doing while he was doing it.
That's sweet. I like Fred Rogers.
It's very sweet. Oh, he was great. Yeah. Good man. Okie dokie, time to move on.
It's real dusty in here.
Aww.
Maybe
Hey,
you should get a Swiffer.
Vanessa,
What?
how did you level up?
Oh! Well,
Level
this
up.
is all so sudden.
How did Vanessa level up?
Juke, juke, juke. I leveled up by allowing myself to fall into the shady world of free-to-play iOS games.
Oh, Vanessa. This is a rabbit hole I've gone down many times.
Yeah. Specifically, I've been playing a game called Design Home. Why have I been playing this game? Because a friend of mine did it, and I always do what my friends do because of peer pressure.
You know, Mr. T has a song about peer pressure.
Oh, does
and he
he?
filmed
Please sing it
the
for me.
video on a pier.
Amazing.
Anyway, do go on.
Okay. Design Home is a game, I mean, technically, where you have a blank room and the game gives you certain requirements for the room. Something like, please decorate with 2 West Elm items. And then you decorate the room and you go into their little virtual shop and they have virtual versions of all kinds of real furniture that you can buy at a real brick and mortar store. And you decorate your room. And when you're done, people vote on your room. And if you get 4 stars or above, you get a prize. And if you get 5 stars, you get a special prize. This is just the kind of thing that people talk about when they say that there are more women playing games than men, because women actually dominate the iOS game market, doing their thing out of sight of the gatekeeping gamers. It's pretty fun. It has its issues. Issue number 1, I would say, is that the voting system kind of edges your designs towards banality rather than making bold design choices, because you're trying to appeal to the most people rather than just yourself or to a particular client, for example, if you are a real interior decorator. Secondly, it sure does want you to spend your real money, and I haven't done it so far. 1, because I'm pretty good at the game, and when I get those 5 stars, let me tell you, what a rush. And 2, because you can earn a lot of free points by playing other free-to-play iOS games.
Oh.
Basically, you download it, you play it until you hit a certain level, and then the game gives you a reward, and then you can delete it. I have been playing so many of these little build a civilization games and like get your civilization to level 10 or something. And it's really kind of been interesting to like peek behind the curtain, because so many of these games are just sprite swaps and exactly the same game over and over again. So it's become very familiar, the pattern of these free-to-play civilization games. They are all exactly the same, except they're like, oh, this one's caveman, this one's Greek, this
Are
one's
those the games
future.
where it's like, this is how your dad plays, and it's like he's doing really well, and this is how your mom plays, and she's getting swarmed by enemies in the ads?
Basically.
Those ads are bad.
Basically, all of those weird ads that you see. I haven't been forced to play Become the Sultan yet, which is perhaps the most egregiously advertised game. I don't know if you've seen those ads, but
is that the one with your girlfriend and you and playing, and she's way worse?
It's all. It seems to imply that the game is all about like dating women.
Oh.
And so it will show this woman and she's like in rags and it's like maid. And then she meets the Sultan and she's like, how may I serve you? And then she becomes the consort and then she becomes the queen.
Oh.
And someone said that they had seen these ads over and over again, but that the game actually is barely about that at all. Like, it's not a dating sim. It's a civilization builder with like this small dating sim aspect that they're really hammering. It's very strange. It's a strange world
called like Tokyo High School Summoner or something, and all your summons are these beefcake men in speedos or like bara,
nice,
or like furry, huge muscle dudes. And
that sounds great.
But I think it just plays like a mobile game, so I'm not actually going to try it.
No,
It's real weird. Like it's not weird. I feel you, Vanessa. I've got that same problem, but with like fantasy strategy RPG games on iOS. Like, it's the same thing, though. Like, it's just, they're all the same game over and over and over again. And, like, you can get hooked on one, and it's like, or maybe you'll find one that's got, like, an interesting gimmick, and you're like, this is great for, like, a week or two, and then it's like, oh, yeah, okay, now I'm at that same point. It's the same thing.
I don't know if you...
And they're all free to play, so they all, start out by doing the thing that free-to-play games do by giving you a lot of rewards really easily at the beginning and then slowly slowing that down and stretching it out to try to entice you to spend money.
Here's the thing.
I, however, am not really playing these for pleasure, so it doesn't work on me.
See, I feel with some of them, I don't mind spending a little bit of money on them because I feel like it's almost like tipping the developer. It's like, yeah, I guess I've been playing this game for 2 solid weeks. I'll spend $10. They can have $10.
I liked, there was a game called Triple Town.
Or 5.
Have you ever played Triple Town? It's like a really cute little game where you're expanding it's a puzzle game where you expand stuff by matching it, and you have to like kill these bears. And I got it. I paid for it because it used to be, this is like a 10-year-old game. If you paid $3, you never had to use any timers to play anymore. You could just play as much as you wanted.
Yeah.
I really like that. And it's like, oh, $3, sure. I played, I probably put 30 hours into that game. I loved it.
Yeah, there definitely becomes a time where, I mean, if you can afford to and you want to, it's fine to spend a few dollars here and there. Please don't become one of those people who suddenly realizes they've spent $15,000 on a free-to-play game.
Yeah. It's funny because Square is responsible for a lot of that. And
a lot of the free-to-play games?
We're kind of about Square.
Yeah.
And they're responsible for a lot of these. Polygon had a whole article about guys that got so hooked on, I think, Final Fantasy Record Keeper, or maybe one of the other ones, that were spending, thousands of dollars a month and have, at this point, looking at it, can say I've spent $70,000 or $100,000 on this game just to try to get, Cloud this week. Or
have you ever played?
It's not like a joke. It's gambling, basically. Like, it's a disease.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
People get taken advantage of.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it feeds into the addictive reward center of the brain, and there have been all kinds of studies showing that that's what games do, which again is fine if you do it in moderation, because so does food, so does
that's a good point.
Sex,
Vanessa.
So does drinking. So there are lots of things that you can do that kind of trigger that reward center that make you feel good and relaxed, and it's not a problem. Cheese, absolutely cheese. Oh my god, I love cheese.
Vanessa, have you played Animal Crossing for the 3DS?
No, but I would love to, but I don't have a 3DS because we just don't have enough patrons.
Because that game has that exact mechanic where you can like put your house online and people rate it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think you should probably either get like a used 3DS or wait till it comes out on Switch next year, because I'm sure they'll keep that, because that's a very addictive thing that a lot of my friends really love, is making your house available to be rated.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
My daughter plays that game, and I did not know she had that option.
Yep.
But also, the Switch game's an all-new game, though, right?
I mean, it's Animal Crossing, so it's like an update. They never. It's always the same thing where you're getting a house from Tom Nook and you're collecting stuff. I love the first one. I fell off with the later ones, but anyway, we should probably move on to the next level up.
Yeah. How about you, John? Since you are our timekeeper, how did you level up?
Well, man, I haven't done anything. Okay, I'll just talk about my meal today then. I had ramen today.
Oh, was it a instant ramen?
No, I went to a place called Jinyu Ramen by Metrotown in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Ooh, Vancouver has some great ramen.
And there's one called the Goku Cowboy Special. And it was like, looked like half a flank steak in your ramen. And I was like, I want to have that. But then they said they were out of it. and so gave me the tonkatsu special, which is just like a couple of little pork slices in it, but it's still really good. It was super good. I haven't had too much ramen, like real actual ramen. There's always an egg in it, which is a surprise.
I love having an egg in my ramen, especially if the yolk is not cooked all the way through, and you can sort of break into it and you get that good runny yellow yolk all over. Yum, yum, yum.
That
yum,
is
yum,
exactly
yum,
what happened.
yum, 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 yum,
That
yum,
sounds
yum,
really
yum.
good.
It was good. Sorry that I don't have a super exciting level up. Oh, I also saw okay. I'm almost finished Star Trek Deep Space Nine. But there was one episode I watched where Odo...
I can't wait for you to be done with this show.
Odo met another changeling, and it was this weird coded queer romance where the other changeling was like linking with him, but they both assumed male forms for some reason. And so watching Odo link with a male changeling is very sexual. And they're like, and the changeling was like, there's things that you can only get from me, you can't get from Kira because she's a solid. And he's like, well, but that doesn't matter to me, but it obviously did. And they're sort of talking about how he has to repress one side of who he is to be with her, and he has to hide. And it's this very like 1980s queer romance kind of story that I thought was very entertaining and strange.
How interesting.
I also saw an episode called Bada Bing about Las Vegas.
What?
Well, because in the last season, they suddenly introduced this character called Vic. What's his name? Vic Fontaine. He's a hologram lounge singer from the 70s.
I remember Vic Fontaine.
And he, they suddenly introduce him as if he's always been in the show. And he becomes, in the last, 40 episodes, he's in maybe 12 episodes. He's in half of them.
They are flippin' obsessed with Vic
And
Fontaine.
they always have a 5-minute segment of him singing, which is very strange for Deep Space. It's like the show just got obsessed with this character, but he's not a bad character. He's a lot of fun.
Yeah, but it is very strange because they're just like, Vic
Oh,
Fontaine.
and they keep also name dropping this guy Felix, who made Vic Fontaine, who you've never met. And they're like, oh, Felix, he put in these mafia guys to screw up the casino because Felix likes putting in a Jack in the Box in his hologram, his holosuite stories to make it more interesting. Basically to put a surprise in that twists the story you're enjoying. And Vic Fontaine's normally just been kind of the guidance. He's been the Troy of the last season, even though they now have a guidance counselor because Esri's a guidance counselor.
Yeah.
Or ship counselor, not guidance counselor. She's not telling people to take whatever classes. Anyway, but Vic is helping people out, and there's a fun heist episode, and Avery Brooks' character is like, I don't want to be part of this. And people are like, why? And finally he tells his girlfriend, I don't want to be part of this because black people weren't allowed in these casinos in the 1960s. And I don't...
Ooh.
It's just really interesting. So Bada Bing is a good episode. Odo Queer Romance is a silly episode, but I really like Bada Bing. For a holodeck episode, which people are hit or miss on, I think it's one of the better ones. Matthew, how did...
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Jonathan had some ramen and watched some Star Trek.
That is my life. There's only 12 episodes left, so after that I'll have to watch something else. Matthew, how did you level up?
I watched a show called The Dragon Prince on Netflix.
What is this? I have never heard of such a
Ooh,
thing.
my friend's an editor on it.
This television program that is made for your Netflix television is made by the creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Ooh.
And it is their new show on Netflix, and the first season just came out. It is 9 episodes. It is a tight, 2.5 hours. Really, it's more of a movie, kind of, just because it's how short it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a very good show with very pretty animation about a magical land with elves and humans, and they don't like each other. And there was a big scary dragon, and the humans killed it, and supposedly killed its little baby egg. But turns out that our trio of lovable adventurers found the egg And that's the show. And it's great.
It does not sound terrible.
It's very good. And I would recommend it to anybody that is a child or an adult. I watched it with my kids, but really that was just an excuse for me to watch it. I was going to watch it either way. In fact,
Wow.
I watched the last episode by myself one night when they were sleeping.
What if they find out?
And
They're
then
going to be so sad.
The next morning, they came in at like 6 a.m. and they were like, "Daddy, we're awake." And I was like, "Hey, why don't we watch the last episode of The Dragon Prince?"
Mm-hmm.
And then I put it on, and I fell back asleep.
I
Like
can't believe they fell for that.
Like a good dad.
You know, I just
Anyway, that's how I leveled up. I want to recommend The Dragon Prince to anybody that likes to watch television programs.
What country produced this show?
Canada.
I believe it's United States show.
Canada.
By people from America, because it's good, like most things from America.
My friend is an editor on it, so Canada.
Oh.
It's a Vancouver show.
Well, I'm glad that Matt didn't hate it then.
Yeah.
That would have been embarrassing for
I
all of
just
us.
wouldn't have told anyone. Speaking of mature stuff for the sake of being mature, I think this might be one of the first games we played without a brothel.
That's true,
What are you
actually.
talking about? There's got to be a brothel
It
somewhere.
feels like there
There's
should.
gotta be.
I don't think there is. I don't think there's prostitutes.
There's gotta be.
No, you would actually think, and don't think that it has not occurred to me that with all these beggars around, it's surprising that none of them have turned to sex work to make their ends meet, but they do not. It's just not done in the world of Oblivion. In fact, I've seen very little indication that anyone has sex at all. I can only think of one quest where it's implied.
There's like one or two children across the entire face of this fucking continent, right?
I don't think I've met any children in this game.
There are
Gotta
no
be.
children
Are there
in this
no
game.
children?
No
I
children.
feel like I must have run into at least one child.
No child.
There's children in the Fallout games.
Mhm.
So little did we know, we've been playing this game this whole time. We've been talking about it. We had no idea it was a Children of Men scenario.
Oh.
It is.
How do people...
Or maybe everyone's just kind of like immortal, so they don't care.
Oh, I've disproved that one.
Well, have you seen anybody die by anything other than violence?
That's true. I guess not.
Mortals aren't immune to violence, Jonathan.
Oh, it's true. Just like in Highlander.
I said that backwards. Immortals are immune to violence, Jonathan.
What?
What?
Mortals
Yeah,
are
that's
not
why
immune
I
to
said it
violence.
backwards. Immortals are not immune to violence.
Wait, yes they are. Wait, no they aren't. I mean,
Jesus
I'm
Christ.
confused.
Do I need to map this
Yes.
out?
Oh, Jesus is here.
John, hand me that napkin and a pen.
Now,
I'm
he's
gonna-
immune to
No,
violence.
That's not true.
Turning the cheek and whatnot.
I just want to say great podcast, guys. Keep it up. I'm outies.
Thanks, Jesus.
When did Jesus learn? When did Jesus?
It's time for the
learn
quest log.
English?
I don't know. He's omniscient.
That's not what Jesus is. Jesus is the Son of God, not God. God is omniscient.
Well, hate to tell you this. He is also God.
Where's the ghost?
And
come
a
into this?
ghost.
No, that's the Holy Ghost
See,
is
that's
something
why
else.
Vanessa hates Jesus, because Jesus is a ghost. What doesn't tell you is a ghost, but is a ghost. There's a ghost in there. You can't deny that.
But you know the whole Holy Trinity thing. They're all the same, but they're different. The Father.
How do you
the Son,
feel
the
about
Holy
this
Ghost.
revelation, Vanessa?
Mm-hmm.
The Book of Revelations.
It's time for the quest log.
Yeah, we'll have to put Christian theory
This
on
quest
hold for
log.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the actual main quest part is pretty short.
Mm-hmm. So I hope you all are prepared to talk about your guilds.
I'm saving my guild for next episode.
Oh, I am not.
Well, geez.
Uh-oh.
But I did plenty
Oh,
of
good.
fun side
Okay.
quests that we'll discuss.
So last time we got through Sankrator.
Sacrator!
And we got the armor of Tiber Septum, and we're on our way back to Skyhold, or whatever the heck it's called.
It's called Cloud Ruler Mountain.
We're on our way back to Cloud Ruler Mountain. That sounds stupid.
It really does.
To give Martin the armor. And when we get there, turns out he's been hitting the books again like a big nerd, and he's thought of yet another thing he needs to cast his magical spell.
Did you look through his pile of books to get some bonuses? There's just like random books you read that like increase your conjuration and
interesting.
I stole some of his books and sold them.
You can also pick if you hold down the clicky stick. I think it's the right stick. I can't remember. You can smack him in the face with it.
Oh,
and stuff.
nice!
It's really fun. Yep, just throw him around the room.
You guys like this?
People don't.
You're
as long as
mean to these people.
It's my favorite part of the game, especially if you take some like an object.
You hit yourself with this book. I'm the hero of Thatch. I can do
whatever
whatever I want. My dad's a sheriff. I'm the high school quarterback football team leader.
Well, yeah, try going to a shop sometime. As long as you don't actually take anything, you just knock it over. They won't complain. But yeah, you can throw everything off their shelves.
Like the shoppers
it's
at
really
a Kmart.
Fun.
Ayo! Sick burn on Kmart.
Kmart shut down.
Yeah.
A lot of people lost their jobs, Vanessa. It's not really that funny.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, the last time I went, they had downsized so much that they didn't have anyone to restock their shelves, so everything was just on the floor. Yep.
What?
Really?
Yeah, because people would go through the clothes section and just fling things around, and no one ever picked it up.
I ended up buying a lot of games from the Kmart and Diamond Bar when I was living in Los Angeles because it was just right next to my house and really cheap.
We miss you, Kmart. Please come back.
I don't miss you, Kmart. I didn't step foot in one of your stores for at least a decade, and I'm proud of that fact. Walmart, you're next. We're coming for you. Fuck your oversized garbage business.
Oh, yeah. Walmart, not a fan.
I just bought some underwear
John.
and socks
Shame
from
to
there.
yourself. Don't support
Again.
fucking Waltons.
Well, I hate to tell you this. Also, the shoes I bought were New Balance because they're good for my flat feet. I'm sorry. Oh, I deserve that.
I guess we're keeping our sponsorship options open.
What's wrong with New Balance?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with their problem.
Oh, just the CEO is super Republican.
And for whatever reason, white supremacists decided that New Balance was the shoe of them.
Yeah.
I also...
That's a bummer, because I like New Balance.
Yeah, I own a pair of them, too. Sorry.
They're really good for
super
flat
comfy.
feet.
Hey, we're podcasters. We're not exactly active.
That's true. We need that extra support.
You know how healthy people's...
I'm pretty active.
People's hobbies are I go to the gym and I run marathons. My hobby is sitting in front of my computer or my console.
I was doing lunges in my New Balances today. Lunges with a 30-pound medicine ball.
I had pizza for breakfast.
I had pizza for dinner. I'm looking at the last two slices.
I had donuts
right
for breakfast yesterday.
I want them.
Save them and you can have them for breakfast tomorrow.
But if I wait until the episode's over, my roommate might come back in and eat more.
No.
So I'm picking at it.
Go lick them.
So what's a Welkin stone? Because I keep finding them everywhere and they seem valuable.
Stone. That's what
but
Martin
what do they
wants
do?
us to get.
It's
but what are they?
Yeah, it's a
because you can
shiny
find
rock.
them. Do they have some magical restoration?
Yeah, I think
property
that
or
work
something?
with soul trap stuff or something.
Well,
really?
There are two different kinds. There's kind normal, which will replenish your magic hit points.
Oh, okay. Your MPs.
And your MPs, and I think those are all worth 50 gold each.
Yeah.
And then there's Stone Fancy, which I think is called an alien stone. And that one will recharge your enchanted weapons.
Oh, I gotta keep an eye
all
out.
of them at once.
What?
Yep.
Wow, I have to find one of those. Those sound neat.
Mm-hmm. Those are worth like 1,000 gold each.
So in this Miscaran place, like they were just using them as light bulbs. So I took like tons of them because they're worth 50 gold each.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We haven't told the listeners what Miscarand is yet.
I don't exactly know what Miscarand is now.
Yeah, it's just a place Martin tells us to go. He wants us to get a great Welkin stone, the fanciest one of all. So he's like, go to this Miscaran place and get it. Yeah, it's an alien ruin, which there are many of.
An alien ruin?
An Aliad.
Oh, so not an alien.
Aliad. No, you won't find any crystal skulls down there.
Are the elves in Oblivion supposed to be aliens? Because I think they are.
I thought it was a Warhammer
It's
thing.
also a Warhammer thing.
It's an elf quest thing.
It's also an elf
boy.
quest thing. It's
Well,
not
it
exactly
is.
a fucking novel concept. But I think it's true for this as well. I think the original elves are supposed to be aliens.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, does that explain the 2 giant moons that you always see? Like, there's some...
In Elf Quest? Yes.
No,
because they're on the world of 2 moons.
Oblivion.
That could apply to any
Well,
fantasy
maybe
or
Oblivion
science fiction
takes place, yeah.
concept. It's kind of like how in Game of Thrones, the Great Winter the Long Winters is due to their distance from the sun, you see. It's not just some sort of fantasy magical nonsense. It's actually based in fact. And if you read the Historum of the Game of Thrones, it tells you that there's 2 suns, but they're so far away and old and farty that they just don't do good warm.
Oh, is that why sometimes get real cold?
That is why sometimes it gets real cold. Also why zombies.
Ever get melt?
Get melt? Yes, get melt. Have summer. Short summer.
But summers last like 20 years.
They can, but so can winters. And that's why it's called a song of hot and cold. Also because you're supposed to sing it to yourself while you read it.
Do we think that Oblivion and Elf Quest take place on the same planet?
I don't know what ElfQuest is.
I think
right?
that somewhere deep in the south is the Wolf Riders, and Cutstone and Sharp Lad are definitely there doing their thing.
I mean, the Bosmer are basically wolf riders, except in they don't ride wolves.
Hi, this is John here. I don't actually know what they're talking about. So if any of you could fill me in with an email, squarerootpodcast@gmail.com, I'd really appreciate it.
So
did you guys
we go
have
to the
any
alien
trouble?
ruins.
Did you guys have any trouble in Miscarand?
No.
There was a surprise bad guy, a big boss.
Well, first talk about your light
But,
bulbs. I don't want to gloss over that.
Okay, so you get in there, and it's I like the alien ruins. I think they're my favorite tile set because they're a little tricksy. They often have like multiple levels and like upper paths and lower paths, and sometimes you have to like open and close gates to get to certain areas.
Buttons.
And I took along my Bosmer friend who could zap skeletons with lightning, and he is very useful. And he would like sit around. He's a good archer, and he was a magic user. And there's tons of skeletons around. But then at one point, he was like on one. We were up on one of these ledges shooting at. Also, the goblins and skeletons fight each other. So we were just staying up there, like picking them off one by one. It was really fun. But then suddenly he disappeared. I didn't hear him yelling or fighting anymore. And Vanessa.
What?
He never came back.
Oh no!
You take companions into the dungeons?
Yeah, and he disappeared forever, and I don't know what happened to him.
I can tell you what happened to him, John. He died.
How? Like, there's nothing
He probably
around
got
to
sneak
kill him.
attacked or something, and you just left him there. You met some nice man, and you
Although
were like, "Come with me to this deadly place. Let's go." And then you turned around,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Goops, I don't see him no more," and you just left him there in the dark to die.
I explored. Well, first of all, every time, the first time I got to Miscariand, I was like I was looking for the entrance, and meanwhile I could hear him fighting with a goblin. I couldn't find him. He was like on the other side of a wall. And when I finally got to him, he was just dead. So I loaded my save game. And this time he just, I don't know, he must have got killed or fallen. I assume he fell, because NPCs will fall to their deaths a lot in this game.
What if he was just injured and all you needed to do was cast Heal Companion on him?
He heals himself a lot. Like if he was just injured, he always you hear that washing machine sound of him healing himself. Yeah, he's fine. He can take care of himself. Maybe he just left. Maybe he got bored of me. He didn't want to be a Knight of the Nine anymore and just took off.
Well, next time you're back at the Priory, you can look around for him. And you know what you're probably going to find? A grave.
Well, he tried his best. So did any of you watch the skeleton? I really like AI fights, so I love watching and trying to bet on who will win between a goblin and a skeleton.
I watched a little bit of their fight. I like to watch to see who wins, and then whoever wins gets a prize, and the prize is an arrow in the head.
Well, with your crazy bow.
Crazy bow.
I love your crazy bow. So you get to the end, and there's this giant glowy stone, and when you take it, this guy thanks you for taking it. Is that right?
What are you talking about?
Oh no, okay.
The guy that's like, thank
when you take it,
taking my stone.
When you take it, you turn around and you're like, oh, your quest is done. But this monster, this lich or something, rushes you, and that guy was kind of tough.
He's like, surprise! I was here all along.
Yeah, and he had some zombie buddies. The zombies are kind of creepy in this game
creepy.
too. Yeah, sometimes they don't have heads.
Scary.
I don't find them creepy or scary. They're just annoying things. They moan. They. I didn't have a tough time with this guy. I think I hit him twice, and he got blown away.
Oh.
At this point, I was using my sword.
My weapons aren't super good right now.
That was.
I love naming weapons.
Little Shocker is a katana that has plus 20 shock damage on hit, and it makes things go.
I have a demotivating bow, which will make people run away. And I've had some other things like ensmartening rings that increase your intelligence, and super cutty ring that made my blade skill up. I always give them good names.
I have a ring named Brains and a ring named Smarts, and that's what they do.
I'm kind of bummed you can only use 2 rings at a time. I got 10 fingers and 10 toes.
That's true. Maybe the proximity would disrupt the effectiveness of the rings. I made some intelligence boosting gear, and I named them Wise Man's Shoes, and it's some boots, and I made some greaves called the Smarty Pants.
Mm-hmm. I like Smarty Pants. That is very good.
Much.
So you make your way out. It opens up some passages to make getting out easier. I still looked around for my Bosmer buddy for a little while, but he never showed up.
That is so sad. He's trapped there forever.
It's not like the exit closed. He's like, he can make his own way out. And I stole lots of light bulbs because they're valuable.
They sure are.
But I ran out of lockpicks.
No.
Yeah. So I didn't get to open all these chests.
There is a Daedric quest that gives you a skeleton key, which is a lockpick that never ever breaks.
Oh. Wow, I gotta do that quest.
Pretty fancy.
I talked to this one guy about Daedric shrines, and he told me half of them in Cyrodil. He's like, oh, there's one here, there's one here, there's one here, there's one over there.
Is this the guy who collects Daedric artifacts?
No, he's just some weird old man, I think, in that super south town. at the Mages
Interesting.
Guild.
I guess he's just like super into
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And just put all these markers on my map.
So we got our big stone, and we make our way back to Martin. And he, of course, has yet another ingredient that he needs for his spell. He needs the opposite of Awaken Stone. And what is it? A Great Sigil Stone.
Where do you get one of those?
From a great gate.
A grape gate?
A great grievous gate.
A grape gate.
A gate of great.
Grape.
A gate great.
Okay. But how do you make one of those? The only one we've heard about was in Kvatch, and we didn't even get to go in that one.
Yeah, well, remember last time when we found the spies and spent all that time making sure that they didn't open the Great Gate in Bruma?
Yes.
Turns out we gotta let them open the Great Gate in Bruma.
Oh. Well, it's a good thing the Countess of Bruma really likes me.
Mm-hmm.
Because, first of all, I did all of those quests for every single town in Cyrodil.
Mm-hmm. That's
so,
good.
She's got lots of backup.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, we'll talk about it later. I got her some crazy artifact.
Oh, nice.
From,
I
like,
never
that
did that
Snake
one.
Pass or whatever it's called. That quest is a lot of fun.
Fancy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we head down to Bruma. Martin wants us to go talk to the Countess because he's shy, I guess, and he won't do it himself. And he has also put on some very fancy armor.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might be the armor that we got him from the ruin.
Oh, okay. No, didn't he have to melt that one?
He just needed a little scraping of dry blood from it.
Oh, okay. Couldn't he got a scraping from my Azura star instead of melting it?
You would think that he could have, or that he could have just like pricked his finger and used his own blood because he is the descendant of Tiber Septim.
Oh.
But he didn't think of that. So we head down to Bruma. If you did recruit a bunch of aid for them, the guards from other cities are kind of standing around outside the castle. I thought that was an interesting touch.
It did. I kind of wish they'd let you know that quest was for this. And they don't really. But I did it in time. I got all the cities.
That's true.
And so when you bring him to the church, or you bring her to the church, and Martin's there. Yeah, and they have a nice little talk. You know, you watch them meet up, catch up, and she's all in for it because she likes me, basically. And when he walks through the streets, there's so much procedurally generated people cheering for him, and it's so bad.
It is pretty great.
Martin! Martin! Hooray for Martin! Oh, huzzah for Martin!
Yeah. Word has gotten out that there is a new emperor in town, and people are into him.
I haven't told that Count Octo whatever about this yet. I haven't even talked to him. I should probably let him know.
Count Octo? Oh, you mean Octavius, the head of the Elder Council?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him either. I tried to. I went to the Imperial City, and they were like, the Elder Council isn't talking to anyone until this crisis is over.
Oh. That seems
so it's like,
counterproductive.
Okay, bye. Yeah, counterproductive.
Solve this for him. So everyone's like saluting him. They have a new emperor in town, and it's pretty silly fun, like very cheesy, in the lack of effort put into this scene.
Yeah, the crowd, such as it is maybe 20 people.
Yeah.
But I did like how that music, "How do you like me now? How do you like me now?" played while he strut down the hill.
But when you get outside, there's soldiers lined up to greet him, but they're like just like looking around and turning around. Like he walked by one soldier that was just fully faced away from him.
Yeah, rude.
What are they thinking?
I don't know. Maybe they're Republicans in the Australian sense or British sense, in that they don't want a queen or king.
So we've convinced the Countess to let the bad guys open 3 gates.
She was pretty amenable to it. I was surprised. I thought that she would protest a lot. I mean, it's her city and she knows what happened to Kvatch, but she's just like, yeah, this is the only way to stop them from coming somewhere else, so I'm all for it.
Yeah, she says to Martin, you don't win wars by being cautious.
Yeah.
I think
and
that's
I thought
not
maybe there was a
true.
little love connection blooming there, perhaps.
Ooh. She wanted to get some of Sean's beans.
Mm-hmm. So Martin heads out there. There's a line of troops, and he gives them a little St. Crispin's Day speech.
Mm-hmm.
Come tomorrow, there'll be two kinds of people. People who can say they were at the siege of Bruma, and people who cannot.
Mm-hmm.
And your names will never be forgotten by history. Blah, 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 blah.
I like that. Yeah, you see maybe one or two guards from each town that you've recruited. Like, so I had even guards from Kvatch were there. I got those guys because they were super happy with me.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, it was nice to
there
see
was
everyone come
one
together.
or two of
yeah, it was a
each,
good moment.
though.
Yeah, they could have sent an army, but I think the game couldn't. The engine could not handle an army, so
yeah,
they were
well,
representative.
The population of any given town or city is about what, like 30 people?
I'd say 40 to 50, maybe. And I also read that to support a warrior, it's in any era of history needs 50 to 100 people.
Oh, okay.
So it makes sense. The math checks
And
out.
that's why John thinks that there can't be women warriors in games.
Wait,
what are you talking
Well,
about?
you're the one that
What?
said it. It's got to be historically accurate.
But there was lady warriors throughout history.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm. Your historical example.
Exactly. Wonder
There are
Woman.
many stories of women dressing as men to become soldiers
there are many
or
more
warriors.
stories of women dressing in a star-spangled bikini and having a magic lasso that makes people tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Here come them gates.
Yeah, so the gates pop up one by one, and I guess what enemies appear sort of depends on your level. So
Oh,
I was
really?
getting those flame atronachs.
Yeah.
I had these sort of like dinosaur-looking things.
I got the dinosaurs and the flame ladies, and I got Daedra knights and Daedra mages.
I love the Daedra mages. They look like Darth Mauls, and you can usually kill them in one hit. And they're always yelling stuff.
Sometimes they have good stuff on them, too, so
Yep.
that's always good.
Usually get some like those refill stones. Little shards, I forget what they're called.
And I got imps, definitely imps, because God knows you can't have a gate without those things flinging fireballs at you.
Mm-hmm. I always summon my own imp to sort of add to the chaos.
Do you still have your scamp staff, John?
No.
I did this part, and I fucked up real bad,
Oh, no.
and must have hit somebody, because suddenly the Great Gate opened, but I had all of the knights and soldiers attacking me,
Oh no.
as well as the monsters.
Oh, no.
no.
And then I went
Something
through
went
the gate
horribly wrong.
thinking, I'll just get away from this, and Joffrey was there, and he was attacking me, so I killed him. And I was like...
You
Did you
killed-
reload
that's
your
not
save?
right. Obviously, I can't have killed Joffrey, so I reloaded my save.
Okay.
And thankfully managed to save Joffrey with
Oh.
it.
That's good.
Yeah,
Ma-
you don't want to kill your only butler.
Yeah, it would be terrible if Joffrey died. Like, it would have to be a whole event in the game.
So this whole thing is like you get inside this giant gate, and they're pushing this like siege engine with a little wormy eye at the end of it.
It's a little bit phallic.
It's a tank that shoots fireballs.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And they got to
Basically
push it, thrust it all the way into this gate.
Mm-hmm. And Ultros is pushing it, and he says, "Oh, this is so heavy. It will take me 13 minutes to push it to the gate."
This
So your
part,
timer starts.
let's see how we all got to where you need to go, because I don't think any of us did this right.
Mm. Well, I got to where I need to go by going into the first tower, and then I went outside, and there was like a broken bridge.
Mm-hmm.
So I jumped across the broken bridge.
That's the second tower. You went from the first.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I jumped my way up a hill and then was sort of like behind where I needed to be somehow.
Yep.
But there was still a gate, so I opened that up and then I went into the main tower. What about you, John?
I went to I followed the path for a while trying to get to the next tower, but it looked like I just ended up going back and forth between the first two towers for like 8 minutes.
Oh no, and you only have 13 minutes.
14.
Oh, okay.
And
15.
so then I went down to
16.
I went down to
See,
the
I can count too, you fucking assholes.
Wow. I went down to the base of the second tower, and you're like surrounded by lava. So I was like, I'll just swim across this lava and just keep downing healing
What?
potions. So I swam across the lava.
What?
And then I jumped up onto a hill, and I couldn't really climb it, but I like did the sideways slide along it far enough so that I could get up it eventually. And then meanwhile opened the gate, and then got the shard that I needed, the sigil. But yeah, I totally cheesed the environment because I couldn't figure out how the heck I was supposed to get there, and I was running out of time. I think I had like a minute left when I got the the stone. What about you, Matthew?
I just went to a tower, across to another tower, and then I left that tower and went into like some caves, and then I came up at the entrance, and I went up to the top and killed everything. It was pretty straightforward. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with
I
you
couldn't
two.
find the. I bet I missed the cave entrance. That
yeah,
sounds
I
like.
never saw a cave entrance
Yeah, I never
either.
saw one either. But I did do some mountain climbing.
Yeah, I mean, my way was pretty effective. My character can jump real far, so no lava swimming required.
Yeah, actually, Vanessa, that brings up a point that I was going to bring up tonight, which is that how I talked a lot of shit in the first episode about how the combat's so bad, and it is. But I did forget how much your character develops just in moving around.
Mm-hmm.
Like, comparing my character now towards the end of the game, I can jump like onto roofs, just standing on the ground. Like I'm like a ninja now, and it's amazing.
Yeah,
and
it's pretty
so
fun.
different. It
And your
feels
walking
so
speed
different.
speeds up as well.
Yeah, your walking speed goes nuts, and your jump is I don't know. I'll get bored. Like, there's I think it's Skingrad, where the Count is a vampire, and you have to wait. Every time you go to see him, you have to wait for his attendant to go get him and bring him out.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even notice he
bored.
was a vampire the first time. I was like, what's up with that guy's weird eyes?
I'll get bored while waiting, and I'll start jumping back and forth in the Great Hall and just like measuring my jumps using the carpet that's on the ground. And going up to the second floor and trying to jump onto the chandeliers, which I can't quite do. But it's pretty entertaining, and it's pretty wild when you compare it to the early stages of the game where you're so slow and it's so clunky. And you think like, God, this game is like so shitty. And then once you've played it for a while, you realize, no, that's the design. It's very like traditional kind of role-playing, tabletop role-playing, where like your character evolves immensely. And it's not just your attacks going up. It's your jump.
Mm-hmm.
And you do get new attacks like this lunge that I really like that goes like 20 feet. You jump towards the enemy and then slash them.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't have anything like that.
I've leveled up my blade. So if you hold down attack and forward and you keep attack held down, you do this jump at them and do a super heavy attack.
I'll have to see if I can do that. I have not been introduced to any like any attack moves other than just holding it down and getting a stronger swing.
Yeah, if you hold it down and hold directions, you do different attacks too.
Really?
Yeah.
Right. That's really interesting. All right, so anyway, we all got the Great Sigil Stone from the Great Gate, and it was great.
Mm-hmm. I think I had about 6 minutes left. John, do you remember your time?
Less than one, probably.
Oh.
I think I had like 10 minutes left, because, guys, it's not hard. It's really straightforward.
I got very lost.
Me too. Well, anyway, we get the stone and the world melts around us like it do. And then I emerged from the gate to find the battle wrapping up. Several soldiers were dead, as well as Joffrey.
What?
Yeah, he fell in battle.
Joffrey survived mine.
Amazing.
Joffrey died in mine as well, and I was real confused because no one seemed to give a shit. And I went through all this effort to keep Joffrey alive.
Yeah. No one made any comments about it. Martin, congratulates you on your success and does not mention Joffrey's death at all. And then they all start to walk away, just leaving his corpse on the battlefield.
To be looted.
Mm-hmm.
I came out of the gate, and the Emperor and the Blades were fighting the guards.
Oh. That doesn't seem right.
Different city. Not the guards from the city. They were fighting the other soldiers from all the different cities. And it was bizarre. They all tried to fight me a bit too, but I would yield to them, and they would all leave me alone. Mm-hmm. But so I thought I yielded to all of them. Nobody was attacking me.
How do you yield?
If you hold down block and you hit A to select them like you want to talk to them, you can yield to them, and they just stop attacking you. But it doesn't work with everybody. Like, some people will not yield, and it'll say like this person didn't yield, and then they still try to hit you. Anyway, so I yielded to all these characters, and everybody was fine with me, but they were still fighting each other. So I just sat there and watched as Martin and his last 2 guards fought and killed the rest, because they can't die. They would get knocked out and then get back up a minute later.
Well, you never can keep them down. They get knocked out.
Yes, exactly.
Then they get up again.
Oh, you never can keep them down.
That famous Gorillaz song. Anyway, it was pretty entertaining, and eventually Martin, and I think he only had 1 guard left, killed the last guy from the army. It was pretty entertaining, and I was just standing around the whole time, just picking up their corpses, looting their corpses, because I knew if I attacked anybody and got involved, I'd get a bounty somehow. Y'all, I have spent thousands in getting rid of my bounties.
I just accidentally steal stuff sometimes where I'm trying to talk to someone, but I accidentally take the cup in front of them, and they say, what are you doing? And I try to put it back, and I drop it on the table in front of them, and then they're usually okay.
My shitty kitty Felix is the head of the Assassin's Guild. And is just not actually very good at not killing people in broad daylight where everybody can see me. So
I planned this all perfectly. Felix, you just stabbed the guy. Perfectly.
I wonder if this was Martin's plan to consolidate his support and power. Get a whole bunch of the most elite warriors from every city and kill them.
Bruma's really happy that you closed down the gate that you opened.
Mm-hmm. So happy that they put up a statue of you.
I didn't notice that.
It's by the north gate of Bruma. And if you walk around Bruma, some people will say to you, hey, you look just like your statue. And, fun fact, your statue will be wearing and wielding whatever the highest valued equipment in your inventory at the time of closing the Great Gate was. So you won't necessarily be wearing what you were wearing.
I wear, these days I just wear assassin robes.
I wear some special armor that I had made in my Daedric realm of Oblivion. Because I am Sheogorath. Prince of Madness.
You know, your game's almost more fun as the idea of it's not just random hero, it's this demon of madness, demon king of madness. It's no, I've showed up and I'm just gonna fix the world.
So there's a Sort of fun fact about this statue that goes up, if you are wearing the armor of the Divine Crusader, your statue will be in full color. Otherwise, it will be gray.
Weird.
Yeah, it's probably they didn't render it in gray and then it's a glitch in the game or something. I don't know. So that's
Also
it.
weird.
That's
We
it
did it.
for this time. Yep. We
We
closed
got
the Great Gate.
Sigil Stone. We closed Great Gate. We won the game, and this is the end.
Was the train halfway through the gate on yours, like into the real world?
Yes, it was really cool.
Yeah.
It closes and it basically like cuts the train in half, and then the top of it kind of crashes down, almost lands on your head.
Yeah.
And now it's a monument to the Oblivion crisis, I guess.
Yeah. Huh.
Weird.
Like all these, like after you close the gates, you get these weird Daedric, like super hell spawny rocks everywhere, or like they look like thorns and stuff. And I guess those are just gonna be there.
I'd really love it if they make a Elder Scrolls game where you're back in Cyrodil and you can go and see like these stones that are all grown over and things like that. And
is the Elder Scrolls Online a prequel? I think it is, right? So
I think it is. Yeah.
Have this stuff.
Is it?
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, have the plots in the main games ever mattered in these games?
I don't know. A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think up next we have Johnny's Guild Corner.
Yeah. Before we get into that, I just want to remind listeners that next time we're playing all the way to the end of the main quest. So finish up your business.
That'll be it.
Do your business.
I didn't do any guild stuff, really. I did like one thing. But I did plenty of side quests.
Please tell about the side quest.
Okay. Well, the one guild thing I did was this. I can't remember if I talked about this last episode. This guy had a journal he was supposed to find, but like gave up because the dungeon was full of skeletons, and he was too scared. So. And well, you weren't there for that. He was too scared to do it. So I went and got the journal for him, and he's like, well, you can tell them I just defaulted on the quest. But I was like, I'm not going to do that. I went over there, and I was like, he got this. He never defaulted. Everything's great.
Oh, that was very kind of you.
Yeah. And nothing really happened, though. It didn't really change anything. I did go talk to the count in that southwest city, the super Louisiana one.
Skingrad.
No, it's like Leowin.
Leowin.
Oh yeah, Leowin.
I like Leowin. It's my favorite one, I think.
Oh.
Is that the one with the houses that are like they're more like
shacks?
Townhouses?
Well, yeah, it's the ones that got like the brightly colored townhouses. It's not the one that's a little north of there where they're like shacks on stilts.
Yeah, that place sucks.
This one's got nice houses. So it
does have some shacks as well.
Shacks on Stilts is Louisiana.
This count there was real concerned about all the Oblivion gates. Well, just the one. Even though there's like 5 around his town when I got there. He was like, this one is the real problem. So I closed it. And then he's like, also, there's this orc lady here. And she just seems to be wanting to become a knight. And she seems crazy. And so I talked to her and she's like, you have to call me Sir Knight. I was like, cool, that's fine, Sir Knight. And she's like, well, and you have to address me as your lord or something. I'm like, yeah, whatever, hey, pronouns are pronouns, whatever works for you. And this orc was on various quests. First, she wanted to know where this one camp was, and I found that out for her. And then she wanted me to go with her, so I did, to show her how to get there. And there was this guy here who was like a robber from a gang she used to be in. And I think he killed her friends.
Oh, no.
He was real up.
Uh-oh.
They were mad. And so she starts attacking them, and I help her out. And she's real happy that I helped them out. And then the count's like, oh, you guys should clear up the rest of this gang for me. And I did that and got all these bows. And he gave me money for all these bows I found. And when we did that, we killed off this gang, he made us both real knights for this new
Oh,
order he had just created.
how wonderful.
And she is
What's the order called?
I think something Thorn, I want to say.
The Blackthorn.
Sure. But the orc lady is awesome. What was her name? Mazora or something?
I think so.
Yeah, she's...
And you get a little clubhouse too, right?
Yep. She's really, really fun. I think she's my favorite and side companion character in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I hate her.
Why?
And I have bad experience with her and had to kill her.
What?
And not a fan.
What'd she do?
Why did you kill her?
She's an asshole. She was attacking me.
Why would she do that?
Probably because I hit her on accident.
Oh. I also went to Cheydinhall, and everyone was like, "Oh, the dumb Count's son is in this Oblivion Gate. You should probably go rescue him. He's there with his pretend knight friends."
Mm-hmm.
He's got this little gang of because there's real guards in the city, but he made this gang of heroic knights. And so I go into the Oblivion Gate after him, and they're all dead. You find their bodies one by one until he's there with this one other living knight. And he's like, "Oh, you are going to help me on this amazing quest, and you will slightly aid me, even though I'm the greatest warrior." And so keeping those two alive required multiple reloads.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they kept falling, or they would rush every enemy and just get obliterated every time. I didn't have a heal companion spell, so that was bad.
Mm-hmm.
But through save scumming, I got them both out. And the worst part was I got them all out, and then I finished, got the sigil, and I got out, and it said that I had killed him, and the assassins were going to talk to me because I killed a dude.
Oh no.
But I didn't kill him. He must have got crushed by the gate or something. I don't know. But
you must have killed him.
Did you join the
John.
Assassin's Guild?
no, I reloaded and didn't kill him and his buddy.
Oh, okay.
But keeping those two alive was a challenge. But the Count was super happy with me and gave lots of troops. Did you all do this quest?
Yes.
Did you save him?
Yes.
Matthew?
And you also then become a member of his dorky knights.
Yeah, they have a clubhouse. I never go there. Matthew, did you save this guy?
I don't recognize any of this quest at all.
He's just from Cheydinhall. It's just one of those Oblivion Gate quests. I was kind of bummed that to get the aid of each city, you had to do an Oblivion Gate quest. I feel like that was kind of lazy.
Yeah, it would have been nice if there were other things. And for some of these people, I'd already done them various favors, so it would have been nice if the game recognized that.
Yeah, because
if it had an affinity system.
Yeah, I guess Fallout and stuff sort of does that better.
Mm-hmm.
So I did all the Closey Gate quests, which was not the best, but I did finish the Pilgrimage Knights of the Nine quest. And there was two.
Never heard of it.
Well, you can't. I don't think you have that DLC. There's one
Right, we
where
discussed that.
there was gauntlets in a church that were too heavy to pick up because this guy had defouled them by killing someone with it. And his family still lived on, and his great grandson was there, and he was super weak and couldn't really do much because he was always tired. And this elf in the church hasn't been helping him, but he knew how. He just was afraid to. Basically, you have to take his weakness from him. You have to take that curse, and then you'll be able to use the gauntlets. And the curse is you lose 50 strength.
Oh, that's a terrible curse.
Permanently. It's not like a Fable
no.
thing where it's easily reversed. You permanently lose this 50 strength. And I did it. And I eventually got the points back, but it was really annoying.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I did the Knights of the Nine quest after I had completed all my evil work to purify myself.
Mm-hmm. So you get those gauntlets, and then I had the full set of armor. So I went back, and there's just a couple of chunks missing, I think. Oh no, after I had everything, there's a whole base we have to go to kill Umaril. and you have to be wearing the full set of armor with all the weapons, or else you won't be able to hurt him.
Right.
And they assemble all the Knights of the Nine. Like, all these people you met throughout the quest join the Knight of the Nine, which is a fun moment.
Yeah, I liked that.
And they follow you to, it's like west of Anvil, so it's right on the coast. There's this like secret dungeon, and it was tricky. There's lots of skeletons and those guys, the special new monster. I forget what they're called. They're like these golden knights that attack you.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this one area where the knights will keep respawning. They'll like rise up again after you kill them. So you have to like, your knights are taking care of them. You're just supposed to like get this glyph to summon the bad guy.
Right.
And when you touch the glyph, everything like pauses, like all the battles turn off, and all your companions are frozen, and it's just you versus Umaril, the evil
But there's
god.
A twist.
What's the twist?
The twist is that it's not enough to just kill Umaril in the living flesh world.
It's true.
You have to follow him into Oblivion and kill his soul there.
You have to make this special prayer to follow. After you kill his body, you make a prayer that kills you. You die.
You straight up die.
Follow him to the afterlife, which is floating once again above the tower, like the Imperial Tower there. And you have a final fight with him, which is very easy. Now the thing is, this is another scripted thing where you're supposed to kill him and then you fall down into the tower as the screen fades out. I did that. I killed him, but then I died. I fell and hit the tower and died.
Oh no.
I don't know why that happened.
That's terrible.
But I did it again. I had to reload my save and do the whole dungeon again. And lived.
Oh, good.
And you can talk to all the Knights of the Nine. They're super happy that you like saved the one who had been bad and turned him good. You had to like fight his white form. That was one of the last quests to get like the sword. And that was really cool. Fighting the white boss was this really nice looking like underground lake, and you're fighting this like cool undead boss. That was one. I think maybe my favorite boss fight. Those two, Umaril and this guy, were really good.
White boss.
Yeah, I liked
zombie?
the whole thing.
He's a white.
So a white zombie is what you're saying.
WIGHT.
Does it jump in the back of my Dragula, though?
Yes. Yes, it does. Who's the other zombie? There's Rob Zombie. Is there a second zombie?
No.
Tilda Zombie?
No.
Fred Zombie?
It's Frank a zombie.
Fred Zombie.
I thought is that white? So not White Snake, White Zombie.
White Zombie is the band, and Rob Zombie was the lead singer, who has a solo career as well, and is a director.
Yeah, I actually like some of his movies quite a bit.
Like what?
Like what?
Yeah.
Yeah, name one.
Name one.
House of a Thousand Corpses.
Ugh.
Oh.
There's some interesting things to that movie, I thought.
Name a second one.
What's the one with the whole family from that movie? The sequel?
Nobody's answering your questions here.
The Devil's Own.
Yeah, that one wasn't bad, and I kind of liked his Halloween remake.
I think.
Devil's Rejects,
right.
That's it. I liked the Halloween remake. I thought that was pretty good.
Well, listeners,
House of a Thousand
I mean,
Corpses
there you go. John has exposed
Yeah.
himself as a torture porn creepazoid.
I'm sorry.
For whatever reason, the part of House of a Thousand Corpses that sticks with me the most is when the father is like coming down the stairs doing some kind of chant, and the girls in his family answer, "Who is your daddy?"
Ugh.
And it goes on and on.
What about the
Like,
part
"Who's
where
your
he's like
daddy?"
wearing the face of the girl's dad, and he's like,
Oh,
"Oh,
yeah.
I miss you, honey." That was that movie
The one for
is
me
gross.
is when you get the shot of the man who's had his head sewn onto the fish.
Wasn't that Dwight Schrute?
I don't know.
I want to say
I don't know who that is.
the guy from the guy who played Dwight Schrute in
Rainn
The Office.
Wilson.
I think it is Rainn Wilson that gets turned into the fish.
I have
What?
no idea.
This is an outrageous claim.
I could be wrong. He was also in The Last Mimsy. Anyway.
So is that it for our questos? Are we ready to do some squirrely grunts?
There was one more questo that I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, I went into a painting.
Oh, you've been talking about going into this painting for frickin' ever.
I finally went into the painting. Have you been into the painting, Matt?
I don't know what you're talking about.
In Cheydinhall, there's an artist who disappeared, and the wife explains that he went into his study and then never came out, and he's gone. And if you go into his study, there's a painting in there, and the painting looks very lifelike, and you can enter it like a door. When you're inside the painting, everything looks like impressionist, like all the trees are like splotchy and all the ground looks like it's painted, and the sky looks like Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night, kind of, with like these swirling impressionist clouds. And basically the guy has this magic paintbrush that they got from a Daedric prince that allows him to look at something and capture it, and that's how his paintings are so good. And this thief stole his paintbrush and then went inside and stole this guy, and this guy went with him, but there's trolls for some reason in this painting, and the trolls have the paintbrush because they killed the thief, and you have to kill these trolls and get out. And you can use turpentine to help kill the trolls, which is pretty fun. It's just a very silly, weird quest that looked...
Mm-hmm.
When I saw it in like 2007, I was blown away because it looked really cool. There's stuff like Okami did better later.
Yeah, but I liked it. It was unexpected and unique, and I like that you can kill the painted trolls and get the painted troll fat.
Yeah, that was fun.
That's pretty neat.
And so you get him out in the end, and he's going back to his secret painting days, and I won't tell his soul. And the other quest I did was for the Countess of Bruma, who is collecting Akavari artifacts. And there's this one she's been looking for forever called the Mad Stone.
Mm-hmm.
And it is in the Serpent Trench pass that leads to a secret city, the last city of the Akavari.
Ooh.
But it's been lost forever, its location. So you have to like follow this diary with a set of clues on how to get there, like using waypoints on the map.
Oh, that's really cool.
And so like you start at, she tells you where this first rock is, and then you have to read the diary to get directions on where to go and find landmarks.
Oh, that's fun.
And there's these trolls I'd never seen anywhere else in the game fighting you in the cave you get to.
Oh.
These like
What they like?
They're like big, fat muscle man ogres.
Ooh, sounds like your type.
I know, but you have to kill them.
Oh.
And then you get to this lost city, and the lost city is full of undead. And eventually you get to the Mad Stone, and there's like... you find... So the guy that wrote this diary like 1,000 years ago, you find his body, and he has some orders on him, which the game doesn't really prompt you to take, but if you read the quest text, it's like, I should take a look at those. But the orders, I noticed they were an item. They weren't something you could read, but I picked it up from his skeleton body. And then I moved his skeleton body around and made it dance, because that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what you do with bodies in this game.
Right.
And then at the end,
nope, don't
when
do
you
that
get
at
to
all. Never done that. Have never
When
done
you
that.
get-
Vanessa, do you do that?
No.
Oh.
It's almost like John's the only one that thinks that like desecrating corpses is fun.
The one who watches Rob Zombie movies and likes playing with corpses. Uh-oh.
How many have you played with?
In the game?
1,000?
But so you get to the end where the Mad Stone is, and this guy, the commander, who is like the head of this city, the ghost of him that's the one I was thinking of. This ghost talks to you, and if you have brought the orders, he doesn't fight you and just like lets you go, and you have access to all these treasures. But I think if you don't bring it, it's a lot harder.
So he thinks that you're like the guy who's been ordered to come.
Yeah, he's like, our quest has been fulfilled.
What a stupid ghost.
Because you give him the orders. That was a fun quest. I really, really like that one.
Nice.
Vanessa or Matthew, do you have any quests you'd like to talk about?
I'm saving. I'm saving mine up.
All right. Up from the depths of the darkest hell, Vanessa's Daedric Corner. How things are going, not so well. Vanessa's Daedric Corner. Some Daedra are pretty swell. Vanessa's Daedric Corner. Hi, it's Vanessa's Daedric Corner, where I, Vanessa, talk about my favorite Daedric quests. This time I'm going to talk about Vermina. Vermina is the Daedric Prince of Nightmares, and she sure does love them. But she has a special orb, what got yoinked away from her, and she's very sad. She tells you that a man named Arkved took it, and it tells you where his tower is, and warns you that things in Arkved's tower might have gotten a little bit weird since he's been messing with her orb. So you head on over there, and it turns out that he has manifested his nightmares into the real world. And it's a really fun little tower. First you go through this dining room, and the table is all set nice and everything. And then when you go into the next room, everything is on the ceiling. So same dining room, but you're walking on the ceiling. The floor is your ceiling. Everything's upside down. It's totally wacky and crazy. As you continue through, you start going through corridors with various booby traps and Daedra. You can find this trap door, and if you go down it, you're just on this tiny little platform in the middle of darkness, and all around you there are these corpses just hanging from ropes.
1,000 of them?
1,000 of them going off into the darkness.
And one of them is Rainn Wilson.
And one of them is Rainn Wilson.
Okay.
There are torture chambers. Things just get darker and darker and weirder until you finally get to this dude's bedroom, and he's just lying in his bed asleep. And the orb is there, and he has a diary, of course, that talks about, like, I'm going to do so awesome with this orb. It's great. I got this Daedric orb. Hooray. And so I took the orb. I suppose I could have killed him, but I decided not to. I just let him sleep and left his tower. And when I brought it back to Vermina, she was like, cool, that guy's going to be trapped in his nightmares forever. You did great. And I was like, oh, no.
You seem to be doing some bad things, Vanessa.
Well, he was a thief, and I was just retrieving stolen property. I didn't do anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I also visited the Daedric Prince Boethia, Prince of Trials and Tribulations. I gave Boethia's shrine a Daedric heart, and I got to enter something called the Tournament of the 10.
Ooh.
Sounds super fun, right?
Yeah, I love tournaments.
Yeah. Side note, I'm already the arena champion. There's an arena in the Imperial City. And by becoming arena champion, I earned myself a loyal fan. He approached me after I became grand champion and asked if he could follow me around. And I was like, sure, you can follow me around. And he was very happy, so I took him to my house and left him there. And he lives alone in my house while I'm off on my adventures.
Who is this man that you have allowed to move into your house?
He is my biggest fan, and every time I return home, he says, "By Azura, by Azura, by Azura! It's the Grand Champion! I can't believe it's you standing here next to me!" Even though he's lived there for like months now, and I just figure he watches my stuff while I'm gone. It's great. I guess he's my husband. I don't know.
Wow. Can he join you as a companion?
He could, I suppose, but I don't want him to get hurt.
Yeah.
He's a delicate little Bosmer, a little blonde boy. One great thing was I did sleep there once, and then that dude from the Assassin's Guild came to talk to me and invite me to join the Assassin's Guild, and my loyal fan was just standing in the background, like behind this guy while he explains about the Dark Brotherhood.
Why were you invited to the Assassin's Guild?
Oh, I accidentally killed someone.
Who?
I was walking through these ruins, and there was this woman just like standing in there, and I figured she must be a rogue of some sort, so I sniped her with
Oh,
my
yeah.
bow, and yeah.
I think you told us that story. Sorry.
I did. Yep. So anyway, I enter this Tournament of the 10. It turns out it's held on a plane of Oblivion, which looks very much like the ones with the towers, but there are no towers. It's sort of a big circular clock-like shape, and you have to go through a gate to get to each round. And it turns out the 10 she is referring to are the 10 races of Cyrodil. So basically it's a race war.
Oh.
And you face off against one member of every race. So there's an Imperial, there's a Nord, there's an Aragonian, there's a Khajiit, a High Elf, so on and so on. And in the end, you are proven to be the superior race.
Oh. Not sure I like this quest.
Yeah.
Then you get a sword called Goldbrand.
Well, I guess you got a sword. Is the sword any good?
Maybe, but I'm so married to my bow of madness. I'm never going to use a sword. That's not true. I do have a sword. I have a sword that changes between day and night. And if you kill enough people with it during the day, you get a little message that say its thirst is quenched. And then when it transforms at night, it's like a superior version of its normal nighttime form. And so you can keep the cycle of killing and always have the superior version of your sword.
Yay!
That
Yay.
is wild.
So those are the Daedra that I served this week. Daedra are great, and I really want to put in my plug for Daedra. Stop going to the Chapel of the Nine. The Nine are stupid. Worship us Daedra instead.
Oh, the fun we had. But at the time, it seemed so bad. All we learned at school is how to break, not bend the rules.
And that's it for this week's quest log.
Yeah.
Okay. John, please tell us what you're squarely against.
I am roundly for creatively solving platform puzzles when you miss obvious doors by swimming through lava and then walking sideways along mountains.
Yeah, I think that was a great solution.
Mm-hmm. Vanessa, what are you squarely against or roundly for?
I guess I am squarely against the death of Joffrey. I assumed when I came out and he was just lying there dead that it was a scripted event.
I don't think so.
But then I was surprised that no one mentioned that he was dead, and turns out I could have reloaded and maybe saved him, but I didn't. So, sorry, Joff. You're Joff to a better place. Matt, what are you squarely against?
I am roundly for the death of Joffrey. That guy was a
Oh,
real
no.
jerk Joff, and I'm glad to see him gone.
Oh, sad.
I hope it never gets mentioned. I hope that his bones are left out to be picked over by the scavengers.
We have a Patreon.
We do.
The Patreon is a place where you, our listeners, can contribute a little of that extra dough you got lying around. For just a few bucks a month, you get some extra content. There's a $3 tier, a $5 tier, and an $8 tier for you high rollers.
What's the $3 tier, Vanessa?
I don't know. I don't remember.
for fuck's
Versus
sake.
and instant classic.
Oh, yeah. Those come out once a month. Every other month, it's a Versus where we play a less well-loved game. And every other month, it's an Instant Classic where we play a new game.
This month, it was Pools of Radiance. Square Roots versus Pools of Radiance. And that episode will come out yesterday.
Next month, it will be something spooky. We haven't decided what yet.
Phantasmagoria.
Oh, that would be so much fun.
Amnesia, a machine for pigs.
Oh, that sounds dark and gross.
Yeah. Unless it's like a pig treadmill or something to help keep them in shape and exercised and happy.
Patreon.com/square roots.
Yeah, we don't have a webpage.
Vanessa,
Yeah.
What are
you like to tell?
Squarely against?
Would you like to tell our patrons how much you appreciate them one by one in a platonic parasocial kind of way?
I sure would. Here's a list of my favorite people.
Oh.
Aaron Bachman,
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Wyant,
Mm-hmm.
Artie Pavlov,
Mm-hmm.
Ashley W.,
Oh, wow.
Benzina Benzoni,
I just like saying Benzina Benzoni.
Biagio Di Mento, Bree Girth, Brian Pitt, Brian Stone, Brody Choi, Cameron Schoen, Kiva Cowman Moser,
Mm-hmm.
Cody Wade, David Green, David Pascal, David Shook, Devin Sloan, Drunken Sage, Dylan Rice, Eric Garb, G. Bailey,
Garby.
Greg. Oh, right, Garby.
Garbe.
Eric Garby, who has told us many times how
Yep.
to say his name.
Yep.
But oh man, I want to drop that E. Sorry, Eric.
Eric, change your name, my friend. Just
No.
It's time.
G.
Get
Bailey,
fancy.
where the G stands for G, he's so great.
Mm-hmm. Gregory, a.k.a. Greatory.
Mm-hmm.
Isaac Wright. Jake Dickerson.
Right about everything.
James Hostetler.
Mm-hmm.
James Plett.
Mhm.
Jonathan Ellsworth.
Awesome.
Jordan Sam.
Thanks, Jordan.
Joseph A. Rogers.
Awesome.
Josh Anderson.
Yay.
Julia Zanella.
Yay.
Julian Titus.
Julian.
Justin Benoit. Justin Ham. Lynn
Yeah.
Setchell.
Satchel.
Matt Jorgensen.
Georgie.
Mecca Khan.
Mechacon.
Megan Sullivan.
Megan.
Meredith Anderson.
Meredith.
Miguel Torres.
Miguel.
Mobot. Buh. Still not sure how to say this.
Mobot FB.
Mobot FB. That's a great way to say it.
Yeah.
I like the way you said it. Mobot Foob.
Mothman of Mon Calamari.
Delicious.
Come
Nathan
on,
Poirot.
Stan.
Nick. Patrick Coover. Patrick
Coover.
W. Bears. Race Jenkins. Randy Pierce. Raymond Crumb.
Yay.
Rusty Kamada. Robert M. Pullum.
Hey.
Dewey Pullum and How. Robert T. Ross Hartley. Sam Harrison.
Ooh.
Samu Mitchell. Sean Coote. Stu Skeel. Stompbot 9000. Tom. Tracy
Stewie.
Tanoff. Tyler Petty. My mom. More Childress. Wonder Swan. Xavier Krieger. And Cyril the Wolf.
Ow. Did you know that the one person who can settle whether or not sin is a whale is our own Samu Mitchell, since he is a marine biologist?
Oh, I did not know that about Samu. I assume that he will confirm that sin is a whale.
Yeah, obviously.
If you're Samu Mitchell, write in and confirm that sin is a whale.
I'm sure he's an expert on taxonomy.
If you're an attorney, write in so that I can sue John and Vanessa for libeling sin. Friends, send us an email. You know our email address. It's squarerootspodcast@gmail.com. And we would love to hear from you. Whatever you want to talk about, we want to talk about it with you. Write us to tell us that you love us. Write us to tell us that you hate John. I was going to say us,
Aw.
but I diverted at the last minute because don't ever write in to tell me that you hate me. But if you want to tell me that you hate me, come see us at our Facebook group, the Square Roots Podcast group for smart, cool, very attractive people. And if you're, part of the mob, I guess you can tweet at us at Square Roots Pod. But seriously, delete your Twitter. Stop. It's bad for you. It's bad for
I
you.
love Twitter.
Stop contributing to the problem, John.
Oh, but it's my way of talking to queer people in the game community.
Do that via written letter like an adult. Like a grown man. Get a piece of
Don't
paper.
take shit from anyone who goes on Discord.
Ah, damn it, she got me. Thank you to Christopher Niskala for providing the theme to this series, the 8-bit chiptune medley of the Oblivion soundtrack. Check out Christopher's Patreon at patreon.com/Chris Niskala. And links to this, as well as his YouTube and SoundCloud, are in the show notes.
Please rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, wherever you listen to podcasts. If you screenshot your review and post it in the Facebook group or Twitter, I'll tell you how you leveled up. And just in case you did it between this episode and last episode, please let me part the kimono and say they were recorded on the same day.
That's not true. It's been weeks since we last saw
Same
each other.
day. Same day.
For Square Roots, I've been Vanessa.
I'm Matthew Van Zant.
I am John Brandon.
And I'm Vanessa.
Bye.